I'm still feeling it. So yeah, welcome back to another edition of 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse. Continuing on the whole weird ass shit over on 42nd Street. You know, I just did the one with Crossroad Books, and I was talking to somebody the other night about shit that was going on and remembering things, and I'm like, yeah, somebody said, well, you know, could you describe what it was like to actually walk into one of these places? Well, the whole thing was you walked into these places and you basically tried to avoid everybody else that was in the place because really you didn't want to make eye contact because eye contact could be interpreted as one of two things, aggression or an invitation, neither which you wanted. You just wanted to browse in peace. So there was a transition period, you know, when the video came out and you know, it was replacing the 8mm stuff. And some of the 8mm stuff, you know, was sketchy at best. I mean, there was a bunch of crude stuff out there. I don't even know if this guy's still around. He had some kind of, it was vintage erotic, I believe, or something like that. But he was transferring all these, like, really weird, you know, 8mm loops onto, first it was VHS, then, you know, you just slapped them on DVD from VHS, and, you know, what started to look like shit actually ended up looking like shit. And that was some of the subject matter, because it was ones called Pee and Poo and shit like that, and it's like, I have never found anything erotic about someone taking a dump on someone's chest or head or whatever, or peeing on somebody, so be that as it may. No, it never was my thing, but hey, if you can make a buck selling it, God bless, you know. Well, you know, that shit came in later when I worked for Liquidators because, you know, all the stuff from overseas, they didn't have a problem with any of that stuff. So it would come in on video. But the stuff in the Peeps, that was also imported too. And, you know, you had your standards, that, you know, the Linda Lovelace one, you know, the two that she did. And somebody said it was 3, but I think it was 2. And then an occasional other one would pop up. And then there was that whole thing with, The Animal Lover that was cut into loops, and I'm not even 100% sure whether it was that chick Bondi or not, because there was just some weird other shit going on with some chick with a horse, and you know, actually at the end she was like whacking the horse off in a plastic trash bag, and you see the bag go whomp, and then she dumps it out. It was pretty fucked up. But then, you know, it got down to with video, you know. That's when all the really weird, creepy ass shit came in because it was so cheaper to do that. And then they had all these other scenarios, and then you had that one big place in the middle of 42nd Street, Peepland or Peeporama or whatever the fuck. I think it was the last one to close, but it had the big eyeball and the quarter and stuff. And you know, basically the corner of the room was the show world tokens because everybody was doing that rather than use quarters. Because I think I talked about that before about, you know, junkies going into a booth and with a screwdriver and trying to pry the cash drawer open. So there was no resale value in the tokens. So that was the thing. So usually it was a buck to just, you know, 4 tokens to get in and use them at your own discretion. And this is when it was getting a lot weird because I remember Peepland had the bottom floor with they had open window peeps with chicks circulating and doing weird stuff. Like you could see across what was going on because like one guy was eating this chick's ass at one point. This is all live, you know, and then, you know, they'd stand in front of your thing and wiggle things in your face and look for money and stuff. So yeah, it was all a huge freak show motif down there. Then upstairs they had all the import vids at that point, which were, you know, really extreme. And I really can't get too graphic with that stuff, but, and I, you know, go to work for Liquidators, and he's the one who's supplying them. But that was a whole weird thing. And then, you know, they were dumping the loops. Like, it would, you know, you go into this place and there'd be like a big, you know, banana box full of loops there. I guess, I don't know what the hell they were dumping them for. $5 a piece or something like that. But you couldn't pick them up and really look at the leader and see what they were, because then the help would start fucking screaming at you. You buying that? Whatever, so. Anyway. But, you know, knowing that now, I wish I had stocked up, but then I've probably seen more loops than any man has a right to, so that's another thing. So, that, there was a lot of weird, disturbing shit on that. I remember that, I don't know, I might have told this story before or not. We were, it seemed like every time somebody had a bad marital problem or broke up with a girlfriend or something, let's go to 42nd Street. So you'd round up the boys and go to 42nd Street. So this time it was Kevin from Chiller Theater, this guy Mark, who was a roadie for the Sick Fucks and had a bunch of shit going on with bands, and me and Kevin's sleazy former partner Charlie. I think it was his night. It was his off night or something. So we were in Show World, and they had a loop, Eels for Pleasure. So Mark decides to prop the door open so we can all see this masterpiece, and it's really fucked up. I think it was Swedish or German or something. It starts with these two girls going shopping at a fish market, and they buy 2 live eels, and they bring them home, and you see one sizzling in a pan, and the 2 girls are making out, and then they grab the other eel and decide to place it where no eel in their right mind would want to go. And just the struggling of the eel was telling me that there was something terribly wrong there, and he didn't want to be there. So we got yelled at for leaving the door open and thrown out again. But that was, another one. So then it was like when these things popped up. Of course, Norman had them. A blank VHS cassette that was maybe some 30-minute thing that he got cheap and bought over, but it was EFP #1, Eels for Pleasure #1, and there was 3 of them. I'm like, nah, I don't want to go there, but people bought them. It was a running joke. They go, oh, well, what does that tape cater to? And I said, the seafood lover in you. So yeah, we had all that stuff, and like I said, you get over to Liquidators and it gets weirder because, I don't know, I guess some people have a fascination with bodily fluids, and there used to be a lot of VHS tapes with people peeing. I don't know. Like I said, never saw the erotic attraction in that, but who am I to judge? And somebody goes, well, what boxes really disturbed you? And I said, well, not so much disturbed me as more like grossed me out, or it's like really messed up stuff, especially with they used to call them the brown stuff. But there was one with we got these gay ones in one time, and there was a crossover on that with a guy doing a horse, and I'm like, okay. I don't mean he was getting having sex with, he was sort of blowing the horse. Okay, I'll just say it. He blowing the horse. And that was kind of weird and creepy, and I can't see that being on anybody's bucket list. I can see, okay, climb Mount Everest, scale the George Washington Bridge, cross that off. Was I drunk when I did that? No, so I can't see anybody doing that, but yeah, there was a whole bunch of weird-ass shit like that floating around. Probably still is, for all I know. I've been out of it. After Liquidators, I sort of dabbled with another company, but I'm not even going to mention their name because they're a bunch of assholes. And, it was a paycheck for a while, but I was looking to get out of Jersey, and my heart wasn't even fucking in it at that point, and other things were going on. So I don't know, where it went, as far as that goes. I'm sure, if you're over in, I don't even know how sanitized New York is at this point because I've never been back. It's been years. And I don't even know if there's any little murky corner in New York City where they're still selling, sick shit. But then I guess with the internet, you can find all the sick shit you want. And here's my segue to politics in this. Because, all right, when we got all this really weird sick shit in, I had a call list. And the people that were buying this stuff were all Bible belters. I'd sell a shitload to Florida. I'd sell a shitload down in the deep south. That seemed to be the audience for all this weird, twisted shit. Of course, New York was its own little audience and some other places, but all the stuff that was basically a little bit fucked up, the S&M, the B&D, the gay, the trans, the bi, the big customers, and even when I was doing this on eBay, still selling, mostly transgendered stuff and some gay stuff and some S&M stuff, but the big buyers were not around, well, I'm in Ohio now, but they were out in the Midwest, out in the deep south. Those were the buyers. And it was always, can you send it priority mail? If you send it media mail, they'll check it and find out what a pervert I am. So, yeah, but it's just interesting to see that, the red states are the ones that really eat up the really creepy, nasty shit. So just something to bear in mind. But anyway, I thought it was worth mentioning in a historical context because that's where we used to ship a lot of this stuff. So, I mean, these guys from Florida, I guess the retirees or something, this must have turned them on. I'm like, fuck. Because I had standing orders from guys down there. When you get this stuff in, give me 3 of each new one. I'm like, okay. So, and of course, these were whatever the European format is. I guess it's PAL or whatever it was, or whatever that VHS format was. These were basically transferred over to that. So, I mean, there was stuff bouncing around for years. I mean, the tapes were basically worn out. And the other weird thing was the guys that were bootlegging that were also the ones bootlegging the Kung Fu shit in the hard boxes. And anybody who remembers them that's watching this shit, maybe Eddie McHale might or somebody, but yeah, remember how washed out those prints were? Because those guys just ran those tapes into oblivion. It was insane. Weather's changed. I got to drink 5 bottles of water a day. They said 7. I'm lucky I might get down 5. It's crazy, but oh, that's the other thing too. I've been trying to reach out for some kind of help and shit like that, and ain't getting it. And I had to go to the food pantry today, and basically the woman there told me, she goes, you can make all the calls you want. She goes, they're not returning calls. She goes, nobody wants to work. Nobody's doing anything. She goes, this is really messed up. So it sort of galls me to have to go to a food pantry too, but I've been doing it for the past 2 years. It ain't like I'm floating the dough here and with the 2 dogs and now this shit, I don't know what I'm going to be floating in, but you know, and it ain't all like you're getting stuff basically it's right about to go out of date. And if you're getting meat, I'm being honest, I mean, I appreciate what I'm getting, but you know, don't think I'm getting, you know, a huge fucking freebie or anyone else is, because basically what they do is right about when the meat's going to go out of date, they quick freeze it and then, you know, give it to the food pantries. So sometimes you luck out, sometimes you defrost it, open it up, and there's a distinctive odor, and you're not going to do that. So, like I said, I'm grateful for what I get, but it kind of sucks that I'm put in that position. The medical insurance gives you $50 grocery allowance a month. $50 is like about a week's worth right about now. It's stretching it. So, yeah, just let you know what's going on, because I'm not the only one in this boat, and I know a lot of the people in the boat, and they're keeping their mouths shut for some reason. And it's like, you know, you're ineligible for this, you're ineligible for that, and it's like, yeah, I know. I can explain that further too, but at another time. So that's our show for today, a little more perversion. So thanks for subscribing, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the flip side.